Howdy. You know, everybody, I just wanted to quickly put this message out there, even though it's such a simple message. One that I've mentioned 1,000 times in the past, and that I almost feel like it's kind of goes without saying. But not to let your perceptions of people and how people are dictate how you think your behavior should be, how you should modify your life, or where you should be in your life. This applies to anyone who observes their heroes who seem to be doing so much better than they are, or Facebook syndrome, where people see that all their friends appear to be happy and are putting on a front. Look at me camping. Oh, look at me out eating. Look at what I'm doing. These are the reasons I abandoned Facebook in the first place. I was just sick of hearing the nonsense about people bragging about their lives. And of course I know that that's not all it's used for exclusively. That's not my point here. But I started seeing, this pattern in people. People who were idolizing each other by thinking that a person is oh so great because of the way that they portray themselves. Now, I've seen enough people in my life who appear different in their professional life, but when you realize that they wake up and take a shit in the morning like everybody else, that they're just people, just like every politician. This is how you have to humanize people. They walk around their house in their pajamas. They're people. Hopefully. And when we have these television programs and these commercials showing us what life should be like, and then it's compounded by the internet, people putting on their best face. For example, when I'm making a video, I'm usually not sitting here all mad or huffy, or I'm not crying, bawling my eyes out, or I'm collected because I collect myself before I make a video. Generally, I'm usually a collected person. My point being is that you won't see me in my spontaneous moments of emotion, or when I fail, or when I do something horrible in my life that I regret, or any of the small things that just make being human. And to realize that we all have these shortcomings and faults. It's not really a shortcoming, it's just life, it's existence. Being a human means making mistakes and growing from them. Growing from them is the key component of that. The younger generation is always more susceptible to idolizing people like celebrities, sports stars, musicians, just television personalities. I mean, hell, society has stopped even caring about what people have done, and we've started to idolize people merely just for who they are. Things like the Kardashians, things I dare not even mention, but I just did. People following other people's lives merely because of some fluke event that happened, a sex tape or a scandal or something that makes us obsess over people. And we as a society have to teach our children that people are just people. So there are two sides to this obsession coin. Those who idolize celebrities and other people and think that they're just the greatest, and those who just despise them because of who they are, that always want to find fault. These are just the sides of society. People who are strongly opposed to anybody who's famous or anybody who has money. It's like the anti-rich complex. People who say it's easier for a camel to walk through the eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. What a preposterous notion, right? Why would money have anything to do with how a person is treated in an afterlife? Well, it's because of our idea that people who have money are a certain way, and greedy, and that they must have got it through dishonest means. And my point here is that we scoff at other people who have more than us, or we idolize them. And some people idolize rich people because they have money. They want to be like that. And it's generally younger people. And it's a very malleable time when children are young. Now, this is why they allow you into the army when you're 18, but you're not allowed to drink alcohol until you're 21. I mean, what does this say about our nation here? Just as one among many. The world is a fucked up place, pardon my language. but it's also a beautiful, magnificent, well-orchestrated, perfect place. Your perceptions may vary, and somewhere in the middle you might find what you think it to be. But remembering that humans are faulty is the most important thing, because otherwise, and my main point here would be, if we think that people are flawless, and we think people are perfect, and we idolize them, then when they fail, we feel like we've failed. We feel like we've lost a part of our beliefs. It's like having our religion crushed, or being disillusioned by politicians. These are important things to remember. It doesn't mean you have to be reluctant to trust anyone. You still have to have trust towards your fellow man, and that's a really key component, in my opinion, to remember to trust each other. Because if we don't, we've lost everything. If you can't trust your own species, you've lost everything. It's not a dog-eat-dog world, it's a dog living next to each dog world, and our territories are getting smaller and smaller, and our roaming capabilities and our pack hunting abilities as these metaphoric wolves, as an industry closes in on us, we feel more and more cramped, like we have to strike out. And so we strike out at the people who we think are the most deserving. So we'll strike out at the rich, we'll strike out at the governments, we'll strike out at the opposite political race, whether they be liberals or conservatives, or both of them attacking independents for not picking a side. And religion and politics are those two things that they say not to talk about in the workplace. Those are the two things that people tend to get the most worked up about. I don't know many people who idolize any politicians, but definitely within the category of, and I guess this would be another point, is that we don't idolize people who are making changes. The peacekeepers and the peace movements, people like MLK or people like Gandhi, we will emulate. And those are good reminders. When people say that, one person heard someone say the other day, they say, well, until the whole species sees the light, we'll never get anywhere because one person's never been able to do anything. And I totally disagree with that. One person is always the one that changes, makes a policy. Hopefully not in a dictator state, but not making a decision, but making a suggestion that people follow out of respect and reverence, not out of fear. When we can get people to follow us out of respect and not out of fear, I think that's when we're finally moving forward. I could carry that on to your children. If you're going to raise kids out of fear, or raise them to respect you out of not wanting to disappoint, that's a major stumbling block for a lot of people. It takes more patience to raise a kid to respect you out of shaking your head than it does to just yell at them and punish them. But in the long run, they're a better person. And as a symbol of society in general, we're all children and we're all being taught. And if we all learn to punish each other a little more lightly and not idolize each other and think that we're invincible, we realize that we're all flawed and we're all faulty. And we all do the best we can. Well, most of us do. So I bid you adieu, and